Okay, we're going to continue on in our Father's Word today. But first, I wanted to go over Rahab, the harlot. Now, the prostitute. In the Bible, she's called a prostitute. But Rahab was no prostitute. She was a great businesswoman that the men were jealous of because she was such a great businesswoman. And they called her a harlot because her business dealings, sometimes the men stayed over at her place of business at night, so they called her a harlot. But the men did the same thing, and they weren't called harlots. But Rahab was called a harlot. But I want you to listen to this. Rahab, her son's name was Boaz. And Boaz had Obed. And Obed had Jesse. And Jesse had King David. So Rahab is in the bloodline of Christ. And she's in the bloodline of Joseph also. Mother Mary's father, Eli, he had a bloodline back to King David. That's why Christ is called King of Kings. And Mother Mary's mother was a Levite. So she had a bloodline back to Moses and Aaron. That's why Christ is called Lord of Lords. Now they have a oral tradition. The Judaism has an oral tradition. It's called the Midrash. And according to the Midrash, it says that Rahab the harlot had Jeremiah, Hilkiah. These are all prophets. Now, Jeremiah was a great prophet. Manasseh, Barak, Neriah, Hanuel, and Shalom. Now listen to this. Ezekiel. Ezekiel was a great prophet. Jeremiah was a great prophet. Now Isaiah was 150 years later. So you got your three great major prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. And in Rahab the harlot, according to the Midrash. Now this Midrash is the oral tradition for Judaism. And according to the oral traditions in Judaism, Rahab was, and she married Joshua. Yeah, that's what it says. Now, I don't know how much of that we can believe, but it's oral tradition from the Judaism. Anyway, I thought I'd fill you in on some of Rahab. And she is in the bloodline of Christ. And she's in the bloodline of Mother Mary and Joseph both. So, we're going to continue on in our Father's Word. This is Joshua 6, verse 10. Now Joshua had commanded the people, saying, You shall not shout or make any noise with your voice, nor shall a word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I say to you, Shout. Then you shall shout. So he had the ark of the Lord circle the city, going around it once. Then they came into the camp, and lodged in the camp. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. Then 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually and blew with the trumpets. And the armed men went before them. But the rear guard came after the ark of the Lord, while the priests continued blowing the trumpets. And the second day they marched around the city once, and returned to the camp. So they did 6 days. But it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, and marched around the city 7 times. in the same manner. Now 7 means spiritual completeness. On that day only they marched around the city 7 times. And the 7th time it happened, when the priests blew the trumpets, that Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. Now the city shall be doomed by the Lord to destruction, it and all who are in it. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all who are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And you, by all means, abstain from the accursed things, lest you become accursed. When you take of the accursed things and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of bronze and iron are consecrated to the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord." So the people shouted when the priests blew the trumpets. And it happened, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat. Then the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city, and they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, ox and sheep and donkey, with the edge of the sword. But Joshua had said to the 2 men who had spied out the country, "Go into the harlot's house, and from there bring out the woman and all that she has, as you swore to her." And the young men who had been spies went up in and brought out Rahab, her father, her mother, her brothers, and all that she had. So they brought out all of her relatives and left them outside the camp of Israel. But they burned the city and all that was in it with fire. Only the silver and gold and the vessels of bronze and iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. And Joshua spared Rahab the harlot, her father's household, and all that she had. So she dwells in Israel to this day, because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. Then Joshua charged them at that time, saying, "Cursed be the man before the Lord, who rises up and builds this city Jericho. He shall lay its foundation with his firstborn, and with his youngest he shall set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout all the country. Now this is Joshua 7. But the children of Israel committed a trespass regarding the accursed things. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabadiah, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed things. So the anger of the Lord burned against the children of Israel. Now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Beth Aven, on the east side of Bethel, and spoke to them, saying, "Go up and spy out the country." So the men went up and spied out Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said to him, "Do not let all the people go up, but let 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and attack Ai. Do not weary all the people there, for the people of Ai are few." So about 3,000 men went up there from the people, but they fled before the men of Ai. And the men of Ai struck down about 36 men, for they chased them from before the gate as far as Shibarim, and struck them down on the descent. And therefore the hearts of the people melted and became like water. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell to the earth on his face before the ark of the Lord until evening, he and the elders of Israel. And they put dust on their heads. And Joshua said, "Alas, Lord God, why have you brought this people over the Jordan at all, to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us? Oh, that we had been content and dwelt on the other side of the Jordan.